some questions. So the presentation today is the guide to getting published, but really focused in the peer review section. And as we have been doing for Brazil, we call this a pílula de conhecimento, or just a small pill of content. And this is meant to last for 30 to 40 minutes, so it's not too long. I always like to start the presentation with this slide number 2, where we can see an image of an article that's been commented. As you can see, it's got a lot of comments, and if you go onto emerald.com, you will be able to find lots of articles about articles. This is just one of them. One of the ideas of this section about peer review is to avoid all those comments, or at least to get more quality comments. I can give you an example. So if you look top left, the comment says the title should be the tagline for the entire study. So basically, the title does not give you the right direction to the article's content. So one of the comments we hear a lot is, don't make your title misleading. So in this case, from the title of the article, it's misleading, and as you can see, it's got a lot of commentaries here that are not really ideal. What we want is really constructive feedback. That's what we are looking for here. And I took this piece from the text, which says, the thing you do not want to do is irritate the reviewer such that they form a poor opinion of your paper. Because we are based here in this case, in this session, in Latin America and in the Caribbean, we tend to think that, well, Andre, my first language is Portuguese or is Spanish, so I'll certainly have a problem with my writing. But, well, it is true, it could be true, but even for a native of English language, if this person doesn't practice writing, this person could also have a problem with quality writing. I can certainly give you my own example. I am 38 years old. I was born in Brazil. So theoretically, my writing in Portuguese should be perfect. But writing in Portuguese is still very hard for me, because writing itself is difficult. So when it comes to publish an article in a good journal, we need to think about that. And what happens is, in many times, our English language is too bad. So the reviewer gets a little bit irritated. And if you think, in my case, I would certainly need to have help with the translation with some keywords. And if my English is too bad, then the reviewer will think, well, the English is so poor, what should I think about the science behind it? So that's the kind of thing we need to keep in mind when we are going to submit an article to an international journal. These authors here, they also cite Mahit, and they say that Mahit noticed that bad writing often goes hand in hand with murky thinking. Murky is something unclear. So by writing clearly, you are forced to clarify your understanding. So as I was saying, when it comes to writing, we need to make it as simple as possible, as clear as possible, so the reviewers will understand our point of view. They will understand our English language, our language. It could be Spanish or Portuguese, any other language, but they will fully understand it, and then we'll be able to review the comments. I can see that our colleague Marcos Ferraz, our author, is commenting here on the chat window, and very soon I will pass the the mic to him so he can also share his thoughts with us in this presentation. So here we have the agenda for the presentation today. So the process of peer review, tips on how to survive peer review, and some links at the end of this presentation. Okay, everyone ready? So on slide 5, I just wanted to share with you this draft about the process of peer review, and I put the word draft because this is just a model. It doesn't apply to every journal on earth. Why? Because Emerald uses the double-blind peer review process, but some journals use single-blind peer review process. Other journals will have open review process. So for this case, for Emerald, we will be seeing the double-blind peer review process. And everything starts here on the left-hand side with the authors that submit the article. Then this comes to the hands of the editor-in-chief, who asks a few questions about the article that was submitted. Is it good enough for the journal? Is it appropriate? Does it follow the author guidelines? And so on. If the answers are yeses, then the article will be sent to the reviewers who will do their job here, and they will share their comments with the editor-in-chief. One of the main ideas or suggestions here in this presentation is to avoid this no here, which is called desk rejection. Why is this important? It's important because many journals have rejection rates above 50%, 70%. So it's above to avoid this and go the review process. So the reviewers get our article back to us, and then reviewing process. So we are finally published here, where we can see the green dot at the end of the presentation. So my colleagues are sharing that my audio is cutting a little bit. 200 million Brazilian people are internet at the same time. I'll move on. Let's see how it goes. Can you hear me now? Okay. Hear me.
Hi, Andre. We could just hear you for a second, but I think we lost you.
Can you hear me now, Guido?
Yes, now I can hear you again.
Yes, now it's great.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Totila, I am very close to the modem. I'm sitting next to it, but apparently it's not enough. Yeah, I'm sorry about this. So let's try to move on and keep the presentation. If it doesn't work, then we might think to use another tool for the next session. All right, so I was talking to you guys about the desk rejection. Yes, Marcos, thank you. We'll probably think about something different. And one of the things I have been facing, especially in Latin America, and after these slides, I will invite Marcos to share his thoughts, is in Brazil, in Latin America, we have been pressured to publish in top journals. That's what we hear from academics. But many times, some academics will send me email saying, Andre, I have this article and I want to publish this in a top journal, but they have no idea of what journal they want to publish. They haven't read any good article from any international publisher or any international journal. They just want to be published. So what I put in this slide is, if you want to get desk accepted, not desk rejected, you should first read the journal. You should know its articles, authors, community, get to know who they are, who they cite, and then finally try to publish in that journal, right? So what I feel is that people want something, but they are not part of it. So I'll open Marcos' microphone so he can share his thoughts with us. So Marcos,
yes. So I agree totally with Andre.
Articles internationally, but we need to know those journals, right?
I agree with Andrea. Most of Brazilians, early researchers, I mean graduate students, and also to the professors that are teaching in the graduate courses. Normally, they start by thinking on a subject or maybe on a research gap. They read all the papers, but they have no idea on which paper to submit the paper after finish it. So that's a very curious thing that sometimes it's weird for the Europeans or the Americans because when they start a paper, they know exactly which journal to submit it. So it's another interesting thing because most of us Brazilians, we are going to the opposite direction, I mean, of building a paper for submitting it.
That's great, Marcos. I am going to share the next slide about the cover letter, which is something that Emerald and many other journals ask for. Do you have any template that you use when you write your cover letter? Is this something you really care about, or is this something that you don't think much about? Any thoughts about the cover letter?
Yes, it's totally important because I would say that it's the instrument you can use to communicate your research for the editor. So I mean, the cover letter is extremely important when submitting a paper.
Thank you, Marcos. So obviously we don't have a full cover letter here, we have a small piece of it. But what I wanted to show the all of us today is that you will write this. Obviously, you say, "Dear editor X, I am Andre," etc. But then there's a moment, and it's in this paragraph, when you need to talk about your research. So it says that the article is about a novel application of a theoretical model to the topic. And what the editors-in-chief say about this presentation and about the cover letter is, this is the moment when you can share about your research, and it's a moment when you can try to convince the editors-in-chief about the quality behind your article. And please do share about the originality. In Portuguese, we say the word contribuição. In Spanish, we say aporte del paper. So this is the moment when you can share really the novelty behind your article. And as Marcos was saying, it's very important. As I was saying as well, some journals have some rejection rates above 90%. So this might be the moment when you get actually desk accepted for peer review. In the next slide, we have a bad example about this. The authors are sending an article to the Journal of Documentation, which is a journal in the libraries and science studies, and they are just saying something about the journal itself. So they say that JDoc, Journal of Documentation, is a high impact and well-regarded journal, which is fine. It's not a problem, but the editor-in-chief knows it very well, and there is no information about the article here. Do you want to say anything about this, Marcos? Sorry.
Yes, it's really interesting because I was talking to some friends. They are trying to submit papers for Emerald in the past, and they are asking, "What do you need to insert in the cover letter?" I have no idea. So people are not aware of what to
do you
write.
think that happens because we need more mentoring?
Sorry? Could you please repeat?
Do you think that happens with your colleagues because we need more information about how to publish, or we need more support from our professors?
I would say that, as you already said previously, we have a problem in Brazil that we are facing huge pressures for getting published in top journals. But what is currently under measures, I mean, of the quality of a professor, means that they are evaluating more the quantity than the quality of the publications. I mean, the CAPES, the agency of that evaluates the graduate courses, the journals, and so, they are putting a measure on the journals that it's surreal. If we can go with the age index and even the impact factor, it's easier to publish in A1 classification in the Brazilian ranking, but they are not the best journals. We have fewer quality journals in this ranking. If we can see the assessment that other countries are doing in the same journal. So I would say that this pressure associated with the not very well prepared scientific communications in the graduate courses, this conducts us to fail in publishing papers. Not even for the top schools in or top universities in Brazil, and I mean mostly of them are in São Paulo, of course, but in the several graduate courses that are not so good in the ranking, we have such situations because we don't have the knowledge and the skills that are necessary to get published in top ranked journals.
Thank you, Marcos. Hopefully this will change for the near future. I'm commenting this because we all know that China also always valued the impact factor, but a colleague of mine said that this is changing a little bit and they are starting to use new metrics. So let's see how it goes here in Brazil as well.
Yeah. So one example is this webinar. We are seeing nobody from the graduate courses here, and I am not sure if the language is the main concern here. They are not taking the profit of the opportunities. We have a free of charge webinar, so why not join?
Yeah, that's right. Thank you. I'm going to move on so we have more time for your comments as well and for Guido. So in the next slide, it's just for us to be careful with some journals. We all know that there are some predatory journals out there, so be careful with this. I'll leave the link for anyone who wants to click here and see this experiment that was conducted by Dr. John Bohan from Harvard. He created a fake study and shared this with some journals internationally, and 157 said, it's a great article, let's publish this. They didn't even have a peer review process. So just be careful. I'm sure that Marcos, like me, receives invitations every single day to publish in those kind of, let's say, journals that are not really trustworthy, let's say.
Yeah, for every day.
Moving on to the presentation's title, How to Survive Peer Review. So if we have decided where to publish and then we receive this request for a review, that's really good. That's actually great news. That means that we are in the publication cycle. As I was sharing before, we were not desk rejected, we were desk accepted for peer review, and that's great. If the comments are sharp, discouraging, really straightforward, don't take them personally. They are meant to help you. And there is actually here one thought from an Emerald author that says, after reading the comments, an Emerald author leaves his or her article for a week, so his blood pressure comes back to normal. And I want to ask Marcos about this, because Marcos, I have been in so many NMPODs, international conferences, and apparently everyone who publishes internationally kind of follow this. They will read the comments, they will be very angry with the reviewers with some comments, but they will leave the article, maybe not for a week, but for a day. They will come back tomorrow and then they will answer the comments. So everyone suggested me this, and I just wanted to ask you if you do the same or if you do anything different.
No, it's the same thing. Anyway, if you are going to write anything when you are angry, it's the worst decision to do, especially in academia when we have a small circle of researchers. Everybody knows everybody, and we need to pay attention to that for sure.
Thank you. So I think it's a really valuable commentary here. And it's good to have your feedback as you're publishing internationally so often. Another tip is the co-authorship. So I I put just 3 tips here. The first one is exploit your individual strengths. I can give you guys an example from Rio Grande do Sul. I visited a research group at Unicinos, and this group has a journalist in this group, but nearly all of them are engineers. They have a journalist because they understand the importance of having someone to edit the text, to this curation, to correct every possible mistake they are making in English in the grammar. So when it says exploit your individual strengths, it means this, right? So understand where you take part in the research process. That's really important. Also set out expectations in advance and agree with timetables. I can share with you guys my own example. I was invited to write an article last year, and I said, okay, so can we do this and that by September, October, November, and December? Because I don't have much time for that. The authors agreed with me, but it's nearly May 2020, and we haven't written anything. That's probably because they didn't care much about the article. Happily, it wasn't that much important for me as well, but it's just really to give you guys an example of expectations, right? So my expectation was really low, so I didn't get frustrated by this, but this could have been gone really wrong, right? If I really wanted to publish the paper and nobody really didn't care about it. And third point, who is going to lead the project? So as I said in my very own example, nobody led the project. Nobody was asking anyone about the deadlines, about the expectations, etc. So this should be put in place when you want to co-author with anyone and try to publish your paper internationally. Moving on to slide 12, and then we will start to see some links about peer review and the quality of your text. This is the slide about the academic Phrasebank for the ones who are writing in English and want to improve their writing skills. I really recommend you to go through this. I put here just one example of how to be critical, but this website has tons of examples, phrasal verbs, English tips on how to get more quality in your writing skills. Slide 14, it's about collaborative research. As I was saying 2 slides before, it's really interesting nowadays. Many people are doing this. If you want to have a read of more information about this, just click on here and you'll be sent to Emerald's website. On slide 15, some tips on how to write simply. I think it's important to mention that in Latin America, we speak more Spanish and then Portuguese and then other languages. And in many times when we speak, I can talk about Portuguese here in Brazil, we talk too much. And sometimes in English, there is just a noun that gives you the right concept about something. So when we translate texts from Portuguese to English, normally the translated version has fewer words. So this will help you to think about this, how to write more simply, to be more straightforward in your text. Slide 16, it's the checklist before submitting your article to any journal. If you click on the image, you will be sent to the Emerald website where you can download this. But I have other 2 pieces of recommendations here. The first one is the previous peer review. Let me explain this. When I went to Chile, Santiago, a few years ago to deliver an award to this author from Católica de Chile, I wanted to ask her what she did to get so many awards from Emerald. And her recommendation was, Andre, I am a very senior author and I have some colleagues over the world. What we do before submitting an article to a journal is we send the article to a colleague to get this kind of peer review before submitting to a journal. So when I submit finally my article to a journal, the answer I get is accepted with minor revisions because I have done the corrections before it. So that was her secret, and that's why this recommendation is here. And finally, there is this Holy Trinity piece here. I was talking to this professor from Mexico, and he was saying that when he did his PhD in the US, his mentor said, who do you write to? And this professor from Mexico said, well, I think we all write for academia, for the colleagues, right? And the mentor said, no, you write for the Holy Trinity. And then he said, but what's the Holy Trinity? And then the professor said, it's the editor-in-chief father and the reviewers, right? So obviously it was a joke, but if you think about the process, the first reader is going to be the editor-in-chief. The second reader is going to be a reviewer. The third reader is going to be a reviewer, and so on. And as Marco just shared with us, it's a bad idea to answer comments when you are angry. If you keep these in mind, you will always be kind and very polite to the Holy Trinity, to the reviewers, and to the editor-in-chief, and this will certainly help you to get through the review process. Moving on to slide 17, and then I'll be sharing with you all some pages where you can find more information about how to publish internationally. This one is meant for authors. If you want to publish with us, please take a look here, especially here, where it says how-to guides. You'll find more information, more guides like this one we are seeing today. Also, there's a page for reviewers if you want to find more information on how to do review. This is also a template you can download. If you click on the presentation, you download this Word document that you can use for your reviews if you're doing review to any journal. Obviously, this is meant for Emerald, but I know many people use this for any other journals as well. I found this this week. Ilan Alon is an editor-in-chief of one of our journals, and he shared this in his LinkedIn page. Being a good reviewer is not an easy task. Good suggestions below. And some authors, some colleagues were sharing their thoughts. I found this from Juan Velez Ocampo, who is an author as well. He's based in Medellin, in Colombia. And he says something really important here. He says that their purpose, reviewers' purpose, is to improve a paper rather than proving they are right. What I hear from many scholars in Brazil is that many times we get a lot of criticism, a lot of comments from reviewers, but not all the time they help us. Sometimes you feel they are just trying to be right instead of helping you. And I can see that Marcos wants to share his thoughts with us here at this point. Is that right, Marcos?
Sorry, I think I lost something. It's about the... Yes, of course. Normally, the reviewers, they are trying to help you in getting attention to the points that, as you are as writer, you didn't notice. I mean, as a writer, sometimes you think that you wrote the best paper in your life, and it's not the case. Most of the times is not the case. So you need this role of the reviewers to get improved in your paper for sure. Yeah.
Thank you. Let's move on to the next slide, which is 21. I'm just sharing here some information about the content that Emerald made free. You will find here some call for papers about Corona and also free content that you can read on how to manage epidemics, which is great. And it's not the focus in this presentation, but Emerald now has a new platform which is called Emerald Open Research. If you want to take a look at how an open peer review is done, I recommend you to check this. So you can see here on the top right side, open peer review. So this article was published on Emerald Open Research, and as you can see here, it's related to COVID-19, and the reviewer process is made afterwards. So it's an innovation we did last year, right? And the article is published in 15 days. So we are trying to address one of the issues in the publishing process. As we know, to publish an article is a long process, and that was one of the comments we used to get. So if you want to publish something speedily, you can try this. And that's all. Thank you, especially to Marcus, who was with us today. Marcus, do you want to share any comments, any thoughts about this presentation?
Well, thank you very much for your presentation. It's always insightful. Even we are getting published in Emerald journals, I mean. But it's always important to attend and listen and this kind of presentation, because every time we learn something new. So thank you for the opportunity, and I am open if you have any question. And for me, that's done. That's well done. Congratulations, André.
Thank you, Marcos. It's a pleasure to have you. I want to ask Guido and Tutila, guys, do you want to ask Marcos any questions? Please feel free.
Hello, Marcus. Congratulations.
Hello.
Thanks for participating.
Thank you very much.
Quick question for you. How do you select a journal that you would like to publish your paper in? Do you have a short list of journals that you target, or what process do you usually use?
That's a very, very useful and insightful question. It really depends on the outcome I get in hands. I mean, the paper itself. Sometimes I am writing my paper for that journal, the right journal, I mean. And sometimes I have some different criteria to select journals. One of them is to get a list of the journals I would like to publish or to get published, and then I prepare wisely and with great attention the paper to be submitted to the journal. In case of not being accepted, sometimes you believe that your paper fits the journal scope, I mean, but sometimes it's not the case. You can choose, for example, a broad theme journal, but it's not related to your subject, and then you need to move on, and at least it's a good option to move ahead fast. Sometimes it depends on the type of the paper you have. I can give you some examples, especially for those that are sensitive to the time. As the time passes by, it's important to get published as fast as you can. So it really depends on the type of the journal, the type of the paper you are preparing, and for sure, it's really important to have a journal in mind. When you are preparing a very good paper, for example, the result of your thesis, you have to know very well the journal, because this choice is made in several good quality standards and points that are really important for your career. I mean, the highest impact factor, the highest AG index. But this is the outcome. The most important thing is how your paper can contribute in advancing the knowledge in that field of knowledge. So you can find the right journal by having this question in mind.
Okay, thank you for sharing your insights into that. I think that's very helpful.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think we are okay to finish this session. So Guido, just one last question. Do you want to say anything else, or we can just end it, I guess?
Sure. Nothing else at this point. If you want, I can just briefly demo some of the most interesting parts of our Emerald Insight platform, and particularly maybe show you where we can find information about the journals itself, author guidelines, and so forth.
Go ahead, please. Thank you.
I have one contribution, maybe. Okay. I can give you two examples. One of them is from Elsevier and the other is from Wiley. We have a journal finder mechanism that I can see in Emerald. I don't know if it's under study or anything else about that, André.
Hi, Marco. Sorry, I was muted. I have suggested the journal finder to Emerald, so I think it's a matter of time and for us to wait a little bit.
Yeah. Yes, the first intent we saw was from Elsevier, and currently Wiley just launched this tool, and it's very useful.
Yeah, thank you. I'll certainly share this again with the colleagues in the UK, and hopefully they will develop something for our authors in Latin America and for the world as well.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, Andrea, I believe you need to pass me the page so I can show and share the screen. Perfect. Okay, thank you so much. Just let me know when you can see our platform Emerald Insight up on your screens.
Yes.
Yeah, perfect, excellent. Thank you, Andre and Dr. Marcos, for the very informative session on the peer review process. And I believe that one of the important things that we need to do as authors is to adhere to the author guidelines set out by each individual journal. Because obviously the more we adhere to those guidelines, a bigger chance we have to actually get published. So I'll touch on that a little later on. So just for the people participating, my name is Guido Smalleganger. I am a business development manager for Emerald for the Caribbean region. And in the next couple of minutes, I'll just quickly go with you through Emerald Insight, which is our platform which gives access to all the content that we publish, and also the content that you contribute to, of course. on our behalf. And I'll show you some tips and tricks, share with you tips and tricks so that your discovery journal becomes more rewarding. All right, so most likely, just like everybody else in the world, you're probably not at your university stage. You're probably working at home or wherever connected to your maybe your library website, connected to Emerald Insight. And if that is the case, then on the top part of your screen, you will see a welcome message. Normally, it's a welcome message of your university, of course, welcoming you to Emerald Insight. And this landing page here is the new landing page for Emerald Insight. We've launched this platform a little less than a year ago. So this is the starting page where you can start making your searches. And for those that are not too familiar with Emerald, just a brief recap. So we've been around for a little more than 50 years. We're a UK-based publisher. So we are leaders, if we can say so, in the fields of business and management and economics. And we've recently also built up strong collections in the area of health and social care, education, and also even engineering. So we publish all this content in different format types, if you will. So we publish journals, we publish ebooks, business cases or teaching cases. And as of late, we've also entered into a partnership with a UK-based company called Oxford Analysis. And they provide on our platform news analysis of global macroeconomical and geopolitical events. And those, what we call them briefings, news items, they put into context all these events and the impact on your local economy and society. So that's like a latest addition there. With Emerald, we're always open to authors from all over the world. Obviously, we want to help you to get your research out there to a broader community. With that having said, so just let me quickly tell you what the agenda is that I'm going to follow through on. First of all, how to access Emerald Insights. Then I'll showcase how to perform basic and advanced searches, how to refine those search results as well. And then I'll cover with you how we can view the actual content that's subscribed by your institution for you as a researcher. And finally, and maybe most importantly, I'll go over the section within Emerald Insight where you can view information about anything that's related to tools for author support. So, information about journals, what you need to get published in a particular journal, and so forth. So, again, this is the landing page of Emerald Insight. You're connected. Normally speaking, if you're just connected and you can see a welcome message from the university, you're good to go. You can do your searches within Emerald. But we always recommend you to create a personal account as well. That's fairly simple. Let's let me log out here real quick and I'll show you where you can do that. You just go to the register button right there. We only need your name, email address, and then you're pretty much set. You get obviously a confirmation email, and then with that email and that password that you created, you simply log in, and then you have full access to the to Emerald Insight on a more personalized basis. All right, because at the top right now you'll see save searches. We can save obviously the searches that you recently did, but soon we'll also be relaunching table of content notifications from your favorite journals as well. And then at the top, you can also view here my products, which is a list of subscriptions that your university has for you. So subscriptions in full text. And then explore our content button, which shows you our portfolio. And I'll show you a bit towards the end. So this is the keyword section where you can start to perform your basic search. So let me just go ahead and type one of my keywords. So you can actually add one keyword, or you can add a combination of keywords, and you can even type in a phrase, if you will. Okay, and as you can see, as I go along typing my keyword, we get a couple of what we call suggestions or predictive search. And in this case, it shows me what titles, or ebooks in this case, contain the word sustainable. But in this case, I just want to go ahead and continue with my search, sustainable business model. So you click here on your search icon, and then it will show you the search result page. It provided me 44,000 search results. That's quite a lot. At the top here, you can see that the content is available. So it's got the green check there. So that's great. It's an article, so it's a journal article. This is the link to the full text of this particular article. You've got your the HTML version, which is the online version of the article, and the PDF. And at the top right, you can either further refine your search results, either by relevance or newest to oldest, oldest to newest, and so forth. All right. So let me click on this button here. It will show you the complete abstract of this particular article. And on the right-hand side, you can view the details. So this particular article is published in the International Journal of Sociology and Social Policy. At the top as well, you can see the publication date. They're important, of course. And there's always the keywords. So these are keywords related to this particular article, and you can refine your search further going from there. Okay. On the right-hand side, what we have are the option to refine your results even further. Now, the access section, this is very important. As I mentioned earlier, so we publish journals, business cases, ebooks, and also expert briefings as of late. And if you're lucky, your institution will provide you with content or the full text to all of that content. But if you're unsure of what is actually subscribed by an institution for you, then we always recommend you click this button, only content I have access to. Okay. And of course, if you're interested to only search within only open access content, you click on that option. Furthermore, you have the option to refine further by year, by month, etc. Sorry, a date range. And below that section, you've got the content type. So you can actually even refine your results by the type of content that you want to search into. Okay. So let me click then here on the article itself. So this opens up the HTML version, the online version of the article. Again, the author's at the top, the journal, again, a publication date. And on the left-hand side, you will see an index to the actual article. So you can easily jump throughout the article by clicking one of these sections. You can go real quick to the conclusions and back as well. On the right-hand side, and this is a relatively new addition, only in the last month, I believe we added this feature. These are related articles. So these are all related articles, obviously, to this article that we are seeing now. The first three articles are from Emerald journals, and the bottom three articles are from other publishers that we collaborate with as well. Right? So that's related articles, I think, a very useful feature for us all. Okay, so that's essentially how you perform a simple search. Let me just go ahead and show you how to do an advanced search. You can click on the button right here at the top, advanced search, but you can also, at any given time, click on the logo and it will take you back to the landing page. And you probably saw it already there. We've got the advanced search option button. All right, so these are the advanced search options that we offer. So we've got here, you can search right from the start in a certain content type. For example, you're interested in searching within journals and you click on that option. And you've got here an option to add in multiple keywords as well. And you can use your Boolean operators, as they call them, so and or not as well. And you can also further refine those keyword searches in certain fields, right? And then you can further filter down by a date range and access type, which is only open access content, or normally speaking, we just leave it in all content. Okay, so let me perform a quick search on something I believe is somehow going on and happening right now, especially for a lot of economies around the world that are dependent on tourism. So we added there the parameters. Click on the search, and then you will see that it has generated 157 search results with those particular three keywords. And on the right-hand side, obviously, we can sort by relevance. And let's say you're only interested in viewing articles from journals. So click on that. So we refine those, and it brought down the number of articles to 90. So these are all the different articles that are available with those three keywords that I just used. Just scroll down until you see an interesting article, and this one looks pretty interesting. Islands as refuges for surviving global catastrophes. I think many of you out there might want to be on a faraway place now with no cases to escape this whole pandemic. This was actually published on the 11th of March last year, so it's fairly recent. And here you can see this button, this colorful donut, if you will. These are called altmetrics. And altmetrics, for those who are not so familiar with altmetrics are complementary to the traditional citation-based metrics. And essentially what an altmetrics does, it records a number of citations on the public internet, so on the internet and digital space. So it basically collects citations maybe of the particular article on an online news source, in a social media, for example, somebody tweeting about the article. And if we click on this icon here, it will open actually the altmetrics original page, the company page, and it shows you an overview of where this particular article was, for example, mentioned, and Twitter in this case, it's been cited, even on Mendeley as well. It also reviews if those citations have been in Mendeley and any other online news source, such as Wikipedia, even public policy documents and so forth. So say that I'm interested in further exploring this particular article. Again, I click on that link, and this is the HTML version, of course, the online version. And here we can see the the title that it was published in. So the title is Foresight. So interesting, click on that. And this opens up then the publication scheme of this particular publication. So we've got here the volumes on the left-hand side. And here we also have the early cites. So early cites are actually articles which have passed the peer review process, have been accepted, but they haven't actually been published yet in the journal. So what we strive at Emerald is to publish these journals or these articles as soon as possible. So that's what we call early cites. So they're already available for your reading and your viewing and researching. Further on the right-hand side, some more information about the journal. And this is where the more interesting part comes in for you as a potential author, or you're already an author, but you want to discover more about the journal itself. You can click on the About the Journal button. And this will take me to the information about the journal itself. So we can see here that this is an open access journal. It's full text, of course. We've got the citation scores up here and below, and this is really interesting part of the journal. It gives you a description of the coverage of the particular journal, its topicality, the key benefits, and the key journal audiences, right? Because as Dr. Marcus pointed out, and colleague Andre, it's very important to know what kind of journal you are targeting, and you have to know what the scope is of that particular journal that you want to publish in. So you've got also here a link to the editorial team. So these are all the members of the editorial team. Sometimes I've heard from researchers that they have reached out to members of the editorial team prior to even sending their paper, just to see if that paper would actually fit in with the scope of the journal. And furthermore, you also have a link here at the top right to the author guidelines. And now this is a very key part for you to be successful as well during the peer review process. So this is an overview of the whole process from submitting to the journal, how you submit the paper, how that is done. Technically, there's information about the review process. So like Andre mentioned at the beginning, most of the journals, if not all, at Emerald are double-blind peer reviewed, as is the case here. So it's always good to double check that. You've got information about your copyright. So what are my rights after, obviously, once I've sent my paper and it's accepted by the publisher. On the right-hand side, furthermore, we have manuscript requirements, and these are the technical requirements for your paper. So that if we scroll down the page, with information right here. So this is all information that you need to adhere to as an author to be able to, survive this process and adhere. So obviously, the less comments you get back from the publisher, the better. So one good way to start is obviously adhering to these author guidelines in this section. And then almost finalizing on the left-hand side, we've got some resources for the different types of users that we might have using Emerald Insight. Again, if you're an author, you click on this section, and this is what colleague Andre showed you as well. in this presentation. So this is all different kinds of services that we offer to you as authors, as researchers. We've got the editorial services. We have a partnership with a company called PeerWith, who can assist you in the editorial support. So they do language editing, they can help you with translations, visuals, and so forth. That's very helpful. We also have a partnership with Kudos, which is a online research community. And it's a great way there to also, once obviously it's been accepted, gone through the peer review process, it's a great way to share your paper there in that in Kudos community to get obviously a maximized attention. Let's see what we all want. We want to contribute to science, so that's a good way as well. We've got how-to guides where you can find guides on how to go through the entire process. And then finally as well, Emerald and Open Access. With Emerald obviously are very committed to the open access movement, and we're actually now a part of it. We have our own Emerald Open Access resource. So it's a great site. If you have a mandate from your institution, from a funding perspective, to publish in an open journal article, then you're more than welcome to obviously to publish with us as well. So those are the overviews, generally speaking, that I can give you from an author's perspective as well. And just heading back now to the landing page at the top. Remember, we logged in as a personal user, so you've got your Save Searches option there. You can review them. Soon we'll have the option there to also view your table of content alerts to your favorite journals. I think that's a very sought after feature that people wanted us to add. And we've got a list of my products. Again, as I told you, if you're very fortunate, your institution will have access to our entire content, so our journals, our ebooks, teaching cases, and also our expert briefings, which are our briefings about world events. But if you're unsure, you can also click on My Products right here. I'm in a staff account, but here you would view all the collections that are subscribed by your institution. And it's a great way also to dig into each of the journal sections. You can view the titles that are subscribed, that are included in each of the collections, and so forth. So that's also a way actually to perform your searches within our Emerald Insight. We've got the Explore Our Content button. So this will give you access to all the other content that we offer within our institution for you. And actually just want to show you the case studies page. So this is a landing page that we created recently. So for all the listeners out there that have business cases, teaching cases from Emerald and using in your classes, this is a great way to access directly to them. So you go to Explore Our Content, click on the Cases button, and we should take you to this page. So we offer a couple of thousand business cases at the moment. We've got one big collection, which is Emerging Market Case Studies collection, which are case studies from emerging economies. It's actually a very popular collection at this point. So if we click on this link here, it will take me directly to the search page within the business cases. So this is a very handy tool that you can share, obviously, with your students when it comes down to using the business cases in your teaching class. We also have a case journal, of course, which is a journal especially dedicated to cases. And we've also partnered with a couple of prestigious universities and institutions from around the world to host their cases as well on Emerald. So that's all you can find here and Explore Our Content. And finally, you've got a little piece about the expert briefing. So this is the latest addition to the Emerald family, if you will, of products. These are expert briefings, so briefings about macroeconomic and geopolitical events happening around the world. So again, this is a separate subscription. If you're interested maybe in this, then you could always talk to your library or the dean to look at subscribe this as well for your institution. So again, this puts into context global events and the impact that it might have on your local economies. All right. So almost nearing the end. Again, Emerald Insight, we launched it barely a year ago, over the summer last year. It's a living platform, if you will. We constantly add new features and benefits. And there's a share button on the bottom left where you can actually share your feedback with us, share your general feedback. Any feedback is obviously very much more than welcome. And we also have a section here which will show you all the platform updates that we have made, new additions, new features that we've added. And here on the top right, we've got quick links to guides to searching and guides to creating a profile. So that's also maybe very relevant, very interesting for you all, just to get a quick review and refresher of how to use the portal to do your searches. So that is pretty much it when it comes to Emerald Insight itself, and just it was a fast recap of the products that we currently also have available for you. And then finally, I want to draw attention to our Facebook page on for Emerald Latin America. We're on Facebook as well, so please do stay connected with us, like our page, so you stay connected and stay abreast of everything that's going on with Emerald. Again, we're also continuously supporting researchers from around the world, so we hope to do that as well, constantly on our Facebook page as well. And if you're in a different region other than Latin America, just go look for Emerald Publishing itself, and then you can follow us there and stay abreast of all news that we want to share with you. So that was pretty much it, what I wanted to share with you today. So I'm just opening up here the chat box, see if there's any questions at this stage. Well, since it's only Marcus really on the call now, Marcus, do you have any particular question at this stage that you?
Thank you for your presentation. It was very insightful. And I just have one question that is related to the format that we can download the information for bibliometric studies. But it's already answered by Tutila that Emerald doesn't have yet the tool, the possibility to download the information to use in more complex bibliometric studies. So that's answered.
Exactly. Yeah, we're working on that. Thank you, Tutila, for sitting in for me there. Tutila is also on the call. She is our customer care executive for the region. So she helps with trainings, and she's very knowledgeable about every aspect, technical aspect of the platform. So thank you so much, Tutila, for clarifying that as well. But Dr. Marcus, we're working on that, and hopefully we can implement that sooner than later.
Yeah, it will be very useful. These two tools, I mean the journal finder and also the possibility to download in just one file, one Excel file. I mean the basic data from the papers to work on bibliometric studies. I am using quite a lot Voice Viewer and CiteSpace for conducting such kind of bibliometric studies, especially for giving a broad idea on how the field is evolving in a specific subject. So I would say that this kind of tools could be very, very useful, especially to us that because Emerald is the main source for the business management journals. And we can see these tools appearing in several other scientific databases, but still we need to complement the data, and that would be perfect if Emerald could do that.
Perfect. Thank you so much for noting that, for sharing that. And we'll definitely pass it on to the technical team to accelerate the addition of those two tools. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And also I would say that you can broadcast this information, these tools to the graduate programs, especially in Brazil. We have a lot of them. To join you in future webinars, and that will be very useful too.
Hey, perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay.
So Andre, and maybe Tutila on the call as well. Anything you would like to add maybe as well for those that will see the recording later on? we actually will be having weekly webinars as well in English, of course. So next week there's another webinar programmed by Andre and myself, continuing with the whole publication cycle, and then also dig into to Emerald Insight just like I did today. If your institution is interested in having personal training sessions, just like we did just now, well, this was a quick overview, then myself and Tutila are very happy to arrange them for you as well. So thank you very much.
Yeah, just thank you for the very nice presentation, and again to thank Marcos for the kind participation. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, and you have a great day and stay safe, everybody.
Thank you, you too. Thank you.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you, Andre.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Have a nice day. Bye-bye.